What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cheeseheadz Weekly. We're here on a Wednesday. As I am recording this, you're likely watching or listening to this Thursday or Friday, or maybe not at all. That's fine because it is another later edition of the show. Hopefully it will still be satisfactory as far as the content, and we are coming off of another Packers victory. Malik Willis getting things done, and we'll dive right into it right after I plug the show a little bit and let you know how to listen or where to find the show, I guess. The show is available just about everywhere you get podcasts. Also available in video form on YouTube, so you can watch the show as well. Be sure to hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you get the show. There is a link in the description to send in a voice message if you ever have any questions for the show. I would be happy to answer them. New episodes come out every single week. Sometimes Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, sometimes Thursday, or last week's was actually even Saturday, so it's kind of a crazy schedule. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more on track here coming up. You can hit the bell icon on Spotify or YouTube to be notified when a new episode comes out. You can also rate the show on Spotify. You can rate and review on Apple Podcasts. You can follow me on social media at Cheeseheadz_weekly, except for on X, at Cheeseheadz_W. You can check out the website, greatcove.net/cheeseheads with a Z at the end. And of course, there's the polls on Spotify, which you can participate in as well. So, it is good to be here again. The Packers defeated the Tennessee Titans 30-14, their second straight win with Malik Willis at the helm. And Packers are rolling right now. And so this was really a masterful performance over the Titans. It was a blowout. I mean, the Titans had two good drives, and after that, they could not do anything, really. I guess they had a little bit of a drive going there in garbage time as well, but at that point, the game was out of hand. So, right, just to start off the show, I'd just like to say Matt LaFleur should be Coach of the Year, and as I look over other coaches, the only coach I can possibly think of that would really be giving him any run at the job is the coach that will be on the opposite sideline next week in Kevin O'Connell for the Minnesota Vikings. He has done a great job with that Vikings team with Sam Darnold at the quarterback position for them, and they are undefeated right now. So it's really it's really been impressive what Matt LaFleur has done and what Kevin O'Connell has done. So if you ask me, the Coach of the Year race right now is between those two coaches, and Matt LaFleur is certainly doing a great job. And I mean, if you ask me, just before this year started, I would have said Sam Darnold is a better quarterback in this league than Malik Willis is. And yet Matt LaFleur is undefeated with Malik Willis as the starting QB for this team. The Packers lost in Week 1 to the Eagles with Jordan Love as the starter. So Malik Willis right now is winning games for the Packers, and he is a very humble dude. Really just considers himself part of the team, just a contributor, not really the guy, but yet just someone, a piece of the puzzle to help this team win games, and he is doing a fantastic job of that, and LaFleur is doing a masterful job putting together a scheme and a game plan the last 2 weeks to help Malik succeed And even, this week he trusted Malik to throw the ball more, and he delivered to the tune of, looking at the box score here, he went 13 for 19, 202 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, was actually sacked 3 times. I did not actually witness a ton of sacks, honestly, and I watched most of the game. Maybe the few plays I didn't see were all sacks. A 93.0 QBR, a 120.9 passer rating, and he looked fantastic out there. Again, he didn't throw the ball much, slightly more than last week, and he delivered with the opportunities he got, and also 6 for 73 and a touchdown on the ground. So he is doing Malik Willis things, and it has been very impressive what Coach LaFleur has done for this team in consistently getting them ready to perform. And we hope to see Jordan Love returning next week against the Vikings on Sunday. So the Vikings will be coming to Lambeau Field next week, or I guess, next week here, week 4, their week 4 matchup. Division matchup, a game that I thought was going to be, a pretty easy win for the Packers. Now, again, they are playing the Vikings. It's a division matchup. Never an easy win, but this Vikings team is looking really, really good right now and looking like they could potentially make the playoffs. In a year that most thought they were going to be last in the division, kind of a rebuilding year. Justin Jefferson continues to be the guy. Coach Kevin O'Connell doing a great job with Sam Darnold in there. J.J. McCarthy out for the year. Darnold was probably going to start the year anyway, which, maybe this is beneficial. I hope J.J. McCarthy turns out to be good. I don't wish failure on anyone, even if they're playing for the Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings have just been so much fun to watch. And you just got to appreciate good coaching and good teams like that. Brian Flores, I think, is one of the league's great defensive minds right now. He has this Vikings defense humming. And so this is going to be a challenge for the Packers now. Even with Jordan Love coming back off the MCL sprain, it looks like he should be able to make his return. He practiced all last week. He looked good in his workout to start the game versus the Titans. He did not end up playing in that game as expected. Malik Willis made his second start against his former team, and I think that was the right move. The Titans are not a powerhouse by any means, and so you can put Willis out there and be confident that he can get the job done. So Jordan, when will he return? He has been out 2 weeks. The timeline was about 3 weeks. After it was said that it could be 3 to 6 weeks, they thought it was going to be the short end of that. Now it's optimistic, like he's so much ahead of schedule. Now it looks like he could return after only 2 weeks. I expect Jordan Love to return, okay? So, I think he could be a little bit rusty. He looked a little bit rusty in the season opener. He's coming off an injury. Maybe the mobility is somewhat limited. Likely be playing with a knee brace. But I think they're going to try to get him out there against a division matchup against his Vikings, who are leading the division right now at 3-0. Packers are 2-1. So this is, it's been really impressive. I should see what the Lions are. I'm not sure if they're 2-1 or 1-2. They got upset by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I believe they are 2-1, but I will just check here real quick. But this is going to be a game, and I'm excited to see what happens. The Lions are currently second in the division, which means they would be 2-1. Packers also 2-1. So this is a pretty pivotal divisional matchup all of a sudden between the Packers and Vikings, and I'm excited to see that. So we'll dive into the game here. Packers versus Titans. Packers won 30-14 on the road in Tennessee. It was a warm one. Packers again had a nice day running the ball. 37 carries for 188 yards, 5.1 a carry, and a touchdown as a team running the football. Malik Willis was the leader in that category, and then it was Emmanuel Wilson, and then it was Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs got only 2 more carries than Wilson. Wilson had more yards, had the better average, was more efficient as a runner, and so it will be interesting to see how they are used together. Emmanuel Wilson looked very good as the number 2 running back, and if I'm being honest, he has looked better than I've ever seen A.J. Dillon look. He also went 2 for 35 in the passing game with a 30-yard score as well for his first NFL touchdown. So, big-time stuff for Emmanuel Wilson, and it looks like they have a pretty dynamic 1-2 punch in the backfield if they don't want to give Josh Jacobs a workload. And they only gave him 14 carries, only had to give him 14 carries on, a week, coming off of that 32 carry week he had there last week in the win. So, yeah, it's this team looks deep. The wide receiver talent, we know all about that. The tight ends, there's a good bit of talent there as well. And so we will get into it and get into my players of the game in a second. So in the first half, it was a lot of offense. Basically every drive was productive in some way. They looked really good. The second half was a lot of defense. The offense didn't get a whole lot going. I'm not sure. They did score. They scored 10 points in the second half, 20 in the first half. So they came out strong in the third quarter, but only scored a field goal in the fourth. And Tennessee scored once in the first quarter on, I believe, their first drive of the game. Or maybe it was their second, actually. And then came out after the half pretty strong, but couldn't get anything going from there. The Packers forced 3 takeaways, a strip sack by Kingsley Enagbari. Lucas Van Ness recovered that fumble. And then there was a Jair Alexander pick 6, and Xavier McKinney had his 3rd interception in as many games. The Packers defense, just going over the numbers right now, they have 7 interceptions, first in the NFL. 9 takeaways, also first in the NFL. 12 defensive penalties, tied for first, fewest in the NFL. 11 sacks, tied for 5th. 28.1 third down conversion percentage, that is 6th in the NFL as a defense. 71.6 passer rating allowed, 7th in the NFL. 19.3 points per game, 12th in the NFL. Those numbers courtesy of @TylerD.Brook on X. So the Packers doing some pretty good things on defense. This defense is heating up and doing what they hired Jeff Hafley to do: take the ball away, force turnovers. They already have, let me just look at the numbers again. 7 interceptions. That is as many as they had last season already. They have already tied their total from all of last season through the first 3 weeks of the year. This is a very good start for the defense. They looked a little bit shaky in week 1, week 2. This was a little bit more of a complete performance. The running game did not yield very much at all. As a team, the Titans running backs, Pollard, Spears, and then Levis, the quarterback, averaged only 3 yards a carry. The receiving game produced a little bit more, mainly because Levis was tasked with throwing the ball so many times. But again, he threw 2 interceptions. He took 8 sacks. His QBR was 15.3. Very lackluster there. Was not a very good performance by Levis. I will say he did look decent on, the scoring drive specifically, he looked okay. He fit a few throws into tight windows, but then he just make a really dumb throw, like the one downfield in the double coverage that he just let hang in the air for way too long. McKinney picked it off, and then it was a very short pass that Jair Alexander just jumped right in front of the intended target and took it to the house. So very, very good signs from the defense. Again, this is the Tennessee Titans, who have not been good on offense through the first 3 weeks of the season, but I expect the Packers defense to continue to get better, and I'm excited for what we could see in the future. Edgerrin Cooper, again, looked pretty good, and so I'm very excited. Hafley looks like the real deal. I'm not going to say it yet, but it's certainly trending in that direction, and hopefully they can keep it up against, a much better offense than we expected with, Aaron Jones facing his former team. And so they have a great running game there. They'll have to be on the other side trying to stop Aaron Jones. That will be a challenge. And, of course, you got Sam Darnold and, Justin Jefferson, which Jair Alexander has had pretty good success against Jefferson. So we'll see how they attack him. And then some of their other passing options as well. The rookie Jalen Naylor has been showing out for the Vikings as well. But they won't have TJ Hawkinson at that point, coming off of, I think, an ACL injury. And Addison, I believe, has been out as well. I'm not sure if when he is likely to come back. So we'll see how that happens. I don't think he has come back. Yes, he has missed the last few games. It's possible that he could return versus Green Bay. He has an ankle injury. Kevin O'Connell said on Monday that he's, quote, optimistic for the return of Addison. So we'll see where that goes. But the Vikings are quite a good team, and again, 3-0. They've already beaten the 49ers. So pretty crazy stuff for the Vikings. And it's gonna be a fun matchup. I'm pretty excited. So I guess I'll get into my players of the game for this week. Number one on the offensive side of the ball for the second straight week, it's Malik Willis, and he looked even better this week, in my opinion. Like I said, 13 for 19, 202 yards, 1 touchdown, passer rating of 120.9, 6 for 73, and 1 on the ground. So, very good performance. Threw the ball downfield a few times, had some nice completions to Christian Watson downfield, hit Jaden Reed for 30 yards. Emmanuel Wilson had a 30-yard catch and run. That wasn't really Malik Willis. That was a lot of Emmanuel Wilson there. And so, great day for Malik Willis, and good transition into Emmanuel Wilson, who is my second player of the game. Number 2 running back on this Packers team. And it looks like he has solidified that role because he was fantastic. 12 for 50 on the ground, averaging 4.2 a carry versus Josh Jacobs' 3.1 a carry. The Packers weren't extremely effective actually running the ball other than Malik Willis, but Emmanuel Wilson looked pretty good, and they did everything they needed to do to win this one, obviously. And then 2 for 35 in the air, most of that coming on that 30-yard touchdown reception by Emmanuel Wilson. So, big-time performance from the second-year player for the Green Bay Packers, and really excited to see what he can do. I'm sure he will continue to garner some carries in relief of Josh Jacobs. Number 3 on my list, I have Christian Watson. It was kind of tough to, I don't know, it was a toss-up, I guess you could say, between him and Tucker Kraft, and I'll talk about Tucker Kraft a little bit here as well. Christian Watson, only 2 for 67, had that 37-yarder, just basically a fade route, and Malik Willis threw it up and perfectly for Watson to make a play. Watson made the play, strong hands, made a great catch. Exactly what you want to see from Watson, and again, he's out there blocking his tail off, doing all the right things to help the team win. That is what he is focused on the team, helping the team win, not necessarily, wanting to be thrown the ball every time. And I mean, specifically last week, when it looked like he was open and Malik Willis decided to take off and run instead, Christian Watson was waving his arms, trying to get Willis to throw him the ball because he was open, and Malik Willis takes off. Watson immediately starts blocking, and it turns into a big run for Willis. So that's the kind of stuff you want to see from Watson. If he's not getting the ball, who cares? He's just going to go help the team win, and that's exactly what they did. Now, Tucker Kraft, I want to talk about him real quick here. 2 for 24 in the passing game, had a 21-yarder where he did a nice job sealing the defensive end and then leaked out for a completion, made 2 guys miss, turned on the Jets up along the sideline. Nice run after the catch, 21 yards. He has looked fantastic, a very complete tight end. I talked about him a little bit last week as well, but he has been great as a blocker, great as a pass catcher. He has done everything right so far. He's obviously great after the catch. Luke Musgrave has not factored in at all. He was 1 for 3 today. Tucker Kraft is clearly the number 1 tight end, and you can see why, because Musgrave gets destroyed every time he's asked to block in the run game, it appears to me. And Tucker Kraft is just playing really, really good football right now, and he is a huge asset to this team and to this offense, both in the run game and in the pass game. So he is someone to keep an eye on. He definitely can catch passes, and he's, again, great after the catch, a very fun player to watch, just plays hard, and is continually getting better. So that's what you want to see from a second-year tight end here for the Packers, Tucker Kraft. Very, very nice performance from him. On to the defense. I will go with Kingsley Enagbare to start things off. 1.5 sacks in this one. 2 QB hits. 4 total tackles. He looked very good, coming off of, an injury that surprisingly was not serious. We thought it was an ACL tear at first. Turns out it was not a complete tear, and he was back for the start of the year and back for training camp, and he is starting to turn it on now. Looked really good in this one against a not very good Titans O-line, and the Packers made that hurt because they sacked Will Levis 8 times. He did not look comfortable at all. Had a strip sack. Enagbare did. Big time performance for Kingsley Enagbare. In here as well is Jair Alexander. Had that pick 6. What can I say? He had a pick 6. I didn't look at a whole lot else, but he was... I think he was doing Jair Alexander type things, and Titans, couldn't get a whole lot done in the passing game because of that. And of course, a pick 6 is a big momentum swing that really helps the team and helps the defense out when you make a play like that. And how about Preston Smith? 2 sacks in this one, 3 total tackles. He looked very good, very much like, looks like he still got it. He's one of the oldest players on the team right now, if not the oldest. I'm not sure. It's possible he is. Maybe Matt Orzik, the long snapper's older than him. I'm not sure. He is one one of the elder statesmen of this team, and he is not playing like it, though. He is playing very, very good football still for this team. Always kind of, not the guy that's talked about a ton, but, quietly just goes out there and has great performances, and had a 2-sack performance in this one. And there's all kinds of other guys I can mention too. Xavier McKinney has been great. I saw some stats on him. I believe he's allowed like 1 completion for 8 yards in his coverage or something, and has 3 interceptions through the first 3 weeks. Incredible stuff from Xavier McKinney, another guy that just should not have been a free agent, and the Packers made sure he did not stay a free agent for long. Big time move by Brian Gutekunst, and him and Matt LaFleur are cooking right now, and it looks like Halfley is gonna be pretty good for the defense as well. So big time stuff happening. Hopefully the defense can keep it up against a very good Minnesota Vikings offense. Very excited to see that game. This is going to be a really good test for the Packers as everything's starting to come together for them. Everything seems to be coming together quite well for the Vikings, and so this is a good test now into week 4 to show, what they may be made of for the rest of the season and whether they are a playoff team. So I'm not going to do a whole lot of preview for the Vikings matchup. I've already talked about it, I guess. I expect Jordan Love to be back, but certainly something to monitor as we get there. I did get one question. I sent out a tweet on X for people to ask any questions, and I got one from the Cowboy Reg on X at Irish_Cowboy88. He sent in questions before. Supporter of the show, really appreciate that, and he has his own show, Sons of Star podcast, all about the Cowboys. It's really good stuff. I've tuned in a few times. The question is, are you confident enough in Willis to rest Love another week if he's not 100%? I am confident in Willis to start. Now, perhaps not as confident just because the Vikings are a little bit different of a team than the Colts or the Titans. But I do have confidence in Willis if they call upon him. If Love is not ready to go, I trust the coaching staff to make the right decision there. And obviously you don't want him to re-injure anything. So I do have a lot of confidence in Malik Willis after the first 2 performances. Now, again, I'm not saying I have the confidence that he'll go in and win. I don't have a ton of confidence for Jordan Love to even go in and win, because I think this is a little bit more of a toss-up. Packers are favored 2.5 points in this matchup at home, but I'm guessing that is assuming Love is there. They might not be favored if Willis is the starter. Either way, I think this is going to be a tough matchup no matter who's starting, but I do have confidence in Malik to start games for this team after what he's shown the past 2 weeks. That will about wrap things up for this game. The Packers will take on the Minnesota Vikings at home. CBS will be broadcasting it, so check your local listings, see if it is going to be broadcast near you. I'm sure anyone around Wisconsin and Minnesota will be able to watch the game, especially now that the Vikings suddenly look like a very good team. But it's going to be a early Sunday matchup again for the second straight week for the Packers. So tune in, 1 o'clock Eastern, noon Central, September 29th on Sunday to watch this game. I will hopefully be watching it. Possibly. Not totally sure. I may have plans, but we'll see. I will watch the game if I can. And if not, we'll still go over it next week on the show. So thank you all for listening to this week's edition of the show. Really appreciate all the support that you all show, and we'll talk to you next week to react to the Vikings-Packers matchup at Lambeau. Should be a fun one. That's it. Go Pack Go.